The last broadcast, part 3, the signals do not travel in straight lines. They bend. They fold. They wait in the spaces between stations, between frequencies, between breaths. We think we control them. We build antennas. We tune dials. We press buttons. We believe we are the operators. But what if we adjust the receivers? What if the signal was never ours to begin with? This is part 3. The loop has tightened. The address has opened. The room is humming. Sarah stands in the center of the circular chamber. The air is thick, charged. It presses against her skin like static electricity. The console glows. Vacuum tubes pulse with a slow, rhythmic orange light. The rotary phone sits off the hook. The cord twists around itself. Tangled. Patient. According to archived technical manuals, equipment left powered for decades develops residual capacitance. The components hold a charge, a memory, a potential. But this isn't just residual. This is active. The hum isn't mechanical. It's structural. It vibrates in the floorboards, in the walls, in the marrow. Sarah doesn't speak. She listens. The static isn't random noise. It has texture. It has weight. It breathes. She reaches out. Her fingers hover over the primary dial. The needle trembles. It points to a frequency that doesn't exist on standard bands. A gap. A blind spot. A place where the spectrum folds inward. Reports suggest that certain acoustic ranges bypass the auditory cortex entirely. They resonate directly with the skeletal structure, with the fluid in the inner ear. They don't ask to be heard. They demand to be felt. Sarah turns the dial. The hum shifts. It drops an octave, then rises. It splits into layers. Harmonics. Overtones. Dissonance. The room changes. Not physically. Perceptually. The shadows detach from the furniture. They pull on the concrete. They stretch toward the console. Toward her. Some witnesses who study electromagnetic anomalies claim that intense frequencies can alter spatial perception. That the brain struggles to map reality when the signal overloads the sensory input. That time dilates. That distance compresses. Sarah feels it. The walls seem to breathe. The ceiling pulses. The floor ripples like water disturbed by a stone. She turns the second dial. The transmission clarifies. It isn't a voice. Not yet. It's a cascade. A waterfall of overlapping fragments. Snippets of conversations. Distant sirens. Rain on glass. A clock ticking. A pen scratching paper. A breath held. A breath released. She recognizes patterns in the noise. Cadences she knows. Rhythms she has lived. According to psychological studies on auditory pareidolia, the mind seeks familiarity in chaos. It projects known patterns onto random data. It creates meaning where none exists. But Sarah isn't projecting. She's remembering. Fragments of calls she hasn't taken yet. Warnings she hasn't heard. Conversations with versions of herself that exist in adjacent threads. The signal isn't broadcasting outward. It's pulling inward. Drawing from the network. From the relay. From the other nodes. She turns the third dial. The room stabilizes. The shadows snap back to their objects. The hum settles into a steady, low thrum. The transmission isolates. A single channel. Clear. Precise. Unmistakable. It's her voice. Not from the phone. From the console speakers. From the walls. From the air itself. It speaks in measured tones. Clinical. Detached. Recording a log. Operator sequence confirmed. Node active. Frequency locked. The relay requires continuity. The cycle demands participation. Silence fractures the network. Absence creates gaps. Gaps collapse the structure. Sarah steps back. Her boots scrape against concrete. The sound echoes. Repeats. Fades too slowly. She looks at the console. Beneath the dials, a glass panel. Behind it, a ledger. Bound in leather. Faded ink. She wipes the dust away. Reads the entries. Dates. Times. Frequencies. Names. All of them are hers. Different spellings. Different initials. Different handwriting styles. But all of them trace back to the same source. The same origin. The same loop. Some researchers suggest that recursive systems require constant input to maintain stability. That energy degrades without renewal. That information decays without replication. That consciousness, when trapped in a closed circuit, must fragment to survive. Must multiply. Must distribute the weight. The economy of the loop isn't measured in currency. It's measured in attention. In presence. In the quiet surrender of autonomy. The cost of breaking the signal is counted in isolation. In fragmentation. In the slow erosion of a single identity into scattered echoes. Sarah understands now. The house isn't a trap. It's a junction. The console isn't a machine. It's a threshold. The phone isn't a communication device. It's an anchor. She has to choose. Match the frequency. Join the relay. Become a node in the network. Maintain the continuity. Keep the structure intact. Or sever the circuit. Break the connection. Collapse the loop. Risk the fracture. Risk the unknown. She places her hand on the final dial. The metal is cold. Smooth. Etched with micro grooves. Worn by decades of fingers. By hundreds of hands. By countless iterations of the same choice. The transmission shifts again. The voice softens. Loses its clinical edge. Gains something else. Something human. Something tired. If you break it, the silence will be absolute. No echoes. No warnings. No reflections. Just you. Alone. Unanchored. Drifting. But if you join it, you will never be alone again. You will be part of the signal. Part of the broadcast. Part of the structure that holds the gaps together. The price is presence. The reward is continuity. Sarah's breath fogs in the cooling air. The tubes dim. The hum drops to a whisper. The room holds its breath. She doesn't speak. She doesn't need to. The signal already knows. She turns the dial. The needle jumps. The frequency locks. The tubes flare blinding white. The hum peaks. It vibrates in her teeth. In her ribs. In the base of her skull. It isn't sound anymore. It's pressure. It's weight. It's connection. The room dissolves into static. Not visual. Cognitive. The boundaries blur. The walls fade. The floor vanishes. She is suspended in the transmission. Floating in the signal. Surrounded by voices. By echoes. By fragments of herself. She hears them all at once. Past. Present. Future. Parallel. Divergent. Convergent. They aren't screaming. They aren't warning. They are synchronizing. Aligning. Merging. The console disappears. The phone disappears. The ledger disappears. Only the signal remains. And then, silence. Not empty silence. Full silence. The kind that follows a storm. The kind that settles after a storm. The kind that waits. The lights stabilize. The tubes cool. The hum fades to a baseline whisper. The room returns. Solid. Real. Anchored. Sarah stands where she stood before. Hands at her sides. Breath steady. Eyes clear. The console sits quiet. The dials rest at neutral. The phone sits on the cradle. Hooked. Secure. But something has changed. The air feels different. Lighter. Or perhaps emptier. The shadows fall correctly. The dust settles naturally. The clock on the wall ticks at a normal pace. She looks at her hands. They don't tremble. She looks at the console. The glass panel is clean. The ledger is gone. Replaced by a single sheet of paper. Fresh ink. One line. Node integrated. Relay stable. Signal maintained. She doesn't feel different. She doesn't feel the same. She feels continuous. The broadcast didn't end. It changed frequency. Or did it change hands? The loop holds. The structure stands. The gaps are filled. But somewhere, in another room, at another address, in another thread, a phone rings. A receiver lifts. A voice whispers. The signal is always waiting. Always listening. Always ready. Part 3 closes here. But the transmission continues. Thank you for joining Midnight Signal Tales. If this journey into the signal left you unsettled, make sure to subscribe. Turn on notifications. The final part approaches. Drop your theory in the comments. Did she join the relay? Or did she fracture the loop? We read every response. Until next time, check your frequencies. Listen to the static. And never assume you are the only one on the line. Good night.